You wouldn't say anything.
No.
Irene, welcome. Welcome.
Thank you.
Please adjust your microphone so you can speak into it. What is your honest opinion about the business climate in Ghana regarding taxation, especially when it comes to small businesses? I'll start with you, Irene.
Yes, thank you, Johnnie, and good morning to all your listeners.
Right.
I think I, to a certain extent, agreed with what Honourable Sam George said,
right,
but not quite to that extent. I don't think it is as limiting as sometimes it seems to be. I think it's more to do with having a good dialogue between our tax authorities and the businesses. Because at the end of the day, it's small and medium enterprises that will change the economy. The entrepreneurs are going to change the economy.
Right.
And once they understand what their tax obligations are and they comply with them, I think it wouldn't be as bad as it seems. But there are certain restrictions, and I think that the tax authorities could do better with engaging them rather than seeming an adversary. They can be more friendly.
Doris, what do you say?
I actually agree with what Irene is saying, because oftentimes there isn't that much tax education for small and medium-sized businesses to be aware of their rights and obligations. And so there is this miscommunication that, once you register for a business or you start a business, the taxes or the tax authorities jump on you as though, they want you to fail, but that is not the case.
Is that not the case? You set up a small shop, business operation permit is here, GRA is there. If you have printing stuff, EPA comes, everybody is coming for the first PESWA before you make it.
That's really not the case. These are regulatory bodies that one needs to actually register with, so you become compliant. And so once you register, you suppose, and there are certain conditions that you must meet as a taxpayer. And so then if you meet those conditions, then you register with the tax authorities. In fact, in a particular year, for a small, medium-sized business, you must have a permanent establishment. You must have registered under the Companies Act, and you must have a permanent establishment in a particular year of operation. If you're a partnership, one of your partners must have been resident in Ghana.
Right.
And so if you are a partnership and both partners are not resident, it is for you then to write to the tax authorities that the both of us in that particular year of assessment were not resident in Ghana, and then whatever taxes there are, would kick off. But most often, because the education is not there, and again, because these small and medium-sized businesses do not keep proper books of accounts. That's a big challenge. And so the tax authorities actually then use, and they have the power anyway, to assume.
Backed by law.
Yeah, backed by law, to assume that your chargeable income could be so much, and so then you have to pay.
But then how do we, this is law, this is what the boxes you're supposed to take, but how do we, for example, I'm just out of school, I have 10,000 cedis of savings, my father has a house, I decided I want to use the frontage for something, start painting like William was here and hang them and all of that. So I don't know anything. I just start off. I'm painting and hanging and selling and making my money. What danger am I putting myself in?
Yeah, so I like the word danger that you use. The issue that arises around the danger of ignorance. It is because we do not know what we have to comply with that we get ourselves into trouble. But it's actually not that difficult. So when you talk about business operating permits, for example, it is your local government, your municipal authority that gets involved with that. And then they come and they observe. There's nothing that bars us from using our residential premises to operate a business. But the important thing is that the regulators have to be aware, first of all, of where we are, and then also make sure that we comply. There are quite a number of ways to do that. But the most important thing is to make ourselves aware of what we need to know. And I think this is where our government agencies have failed us in the education. So they come across as scary, but there's nothing scary about the law, really. There shouldn't be. We're not criminals at the end of the day. So really,
prison is difficult too.
Yes. So once people understand that doing business is not first and foremost a criminal activity that you're avoiding. So you shouldn't avoid people. You should be open, get your business operating permit, register with the pensions authorities, register with the Registrar General, register your business properly, and then comply with all the rules.
And to add to this, you see, the business operating permits, the pensions, as in the
contributions,
these are allowable expenses. So if you are keeping proper records, I mean, these are expenses that will be charged on the income that you have realized in a particular year. Well, it depends on which area you want to veer into. Because if you want to go into farming, if you want to go into agro-processing, if you want to go into the mining sector, even with farming, depending on the kind of farming you want. If you want to do cattle farming, tree crops, cash crops, I mean, there are some tax holidays as well as rather reduced corporate taxes that you pay, and in some cases you can even carry forward your losses between 3 to 5 years, I mean, depending on the sector or industry that you want to go into. Now, when it comes to the state providing some aid for small businesses in relation to keeping of books and all that, I think the state hasn't done much there. I mean, and you can talk about the legal fraternity, I mean, where they have this aid for persons that are unable to pay for legal fees. As an accountant, perhaps I will encourage my institute
to do pro bono.
Yeah, because I mean, we tried something.
Accounting aid.
Yeah, we tried something, I remember, in the early 2000s. In fact, I was part of it. The late Mr. John Klinogo wanted us to assist the women in Mokola to keep proper books of account. But it backfired because they thought that, I mean, we launched it in Mokola, like I said, I was part of it. But it backfired because they thought that we were prying into
their business,
wanting to know about this expense, what is it for? Because
is it your money?
Because of course, you see, you have to distinguish between business expenses and personal expenses. If any expense has to be allowed by the GRA, the tax authorities, then it must be wholly, exclusively, and necessarily spent for the operation of the business. And so we had partnered with the IPSA, now UPSA, and gotten their students, I mean, to come. So we trained them. So, I mean, they go to the market, meet these women.
But
some of them backfire because they never wanted to volunteer information.
We have to go. Our time is gone. Irene, you have the final word. What do you say in terms of setting up boxes to tick and how to survive in this climate that agreeably is not altogether supportive?
Yes, what I would say in conclusion is that I think government agencies have to work very well with small and medium enterprises. Make sure that information is available to them. I know that there's a lot of information available on the Registrar General's Department's website, but not everybody uses technology and gets to the website. So I think more public education needs to be done, and then also the SMEs also need to engage with the government agencies.
And if you're a young person, you should be encouraged to do that.
Definitely.
Thank you. Irene Ansah-Sari is the rector of Montcrest University College and the founder of the Horsham Education Consult. Doris Anum Daohuso is a fellow of CA Ghana and member Ghana Institute of Taxation. There's a also in my church. She mentions the name, you will fall in love with the name. Vida Anum Daohuso.
Yeah, Vida
Anum
is
Daohuso.
my sister-in-law.
Oh, I see. My name is Johnnie Hughes. I'll be here with William Asiedu of Current Memory, Helen Apiampofwe, Roland Walker, Godwin Asiriba is up with the news at 10. Have a great weekend. We'll see you again.